What it do? Bedtime crew. Hey man, listen, today I am here to talk about the top 5 nightmare matchups for every single current champion in the UFC. I've done some videos talking about who I think is going to be the guy individually to beat all these champions, but today I want to go over like the 5 worst matchups in the division for them based on how they match up stylistically. Like if they fought today, how I think they would do, based on some things that are good about the challengers, some things that are bad about the champions. A little bit of bias involved as well. That never hurt anybody. And yeah, man, I've put a lot of effort into this. I'm very excited about this video. Let's get into this, man. Let's start off in the flyweight division. I feel like every fucking video I'm starting off talking about Pantoja and who's going to beat this guy. But I'm going to get this one out the way. Let's get into the flyweight division. My top 5 nightmare matchups. For Alexandre Pantoja, I've got Tatsuro Taira. I've got Brandon Moreno, I've got Cry Cara France, I've got myself here at number 4, and I've got Brandon Royval at number 5. Now, I know what you might be saying, bedtime. Brandon Royval literally beat fucking Cry Cara France, Moreno, and Taira, and he would beat Steve Erceg. How is he number 5? He's a bad matchup for those guys, but against Pantoja, I just don't see it. They fought twice already. He literally lost clearly, easily in both of those fights. Steve Erceg did better than him. I think that Steve Erceg is always going to be a harder fight for Pantoja than Royval because of his size, because of his boxing. He doesn't box like fucking Nate Diaz like Brandon Royval does. I'm sorry, that's just the fact. But I do think that because he got chinned pretty badly against Cry Cara France, and because Pantoja has already fought him and now knows him a lot better, I don't think he's going to be the guy to beat him. I think the top 3 like hardest matchups for Pantoja, Cry Cara France, because he has good takedown defense, pretty good power, probably the best pure power in the flyweight division right now that Figueiredo's gone. So I feel like Cry Cara France has some sort of chance to rock Pantoja, maybe piece him up a little bit in the boxing, somehow fluke a KO over him. He has pretty decent takedown defense, but I think Pantoja would be able to get on his back and out-scramble him and wrestle him later on in the fight. So I think the 2 hardest matchups for Pantoja right now in the UFC in the flyweight division, Tatsuro Taira, if he learns how to fucking throw a punch, because his grappling is the best in the division outside of Pantoja. He really out-grappled Royval a lot in their fight. The thing that fucked him up in that fight is that he literally, like I said, 55 overall striker, bro. This guy knew how to throw a punch, bro. Oh my fucking god, if he raps for the division. So I think that Taira, when he evolves a little bit, when he gets a little bit older, I think he's going to be able to be a really, really hard matchup in the grappling, especially for Pantoja. I've put Brandon Moreno at number 2. I know that he's kind of locked out of the title picture, but realistically, they went to a split decision, and he did really, really well against Pantoja. Like, I know that he's down 3-0 to him, but he still is always going to be a really hard fight for Pantoja. So I'm going to throw Brandon Moreno in there at number 2. But yeah, I think the hardest one for him in the division is really Tatsuro Taira if he locks in, gets a win, gets a title shot. I do feel like there is a way for Taira to win that fight via his grappling and being able to like neutralize the grappling of Pantoja. But even then, dude, I wouldn't pick any of these guys to beat Pantoja, but I'm saying who has the best chance. This is my top 5, all right? Let's move on to the Bantamweight division where the current champion... Hey, one more thing, you guys. Hey, listen, you have to be man, bro. We've got Merab Dvalishvili, I believe the kid's name is. He's the Bantamweight champion. My top 5... I've got Umar Nurmagomedov at number 1, okay? I've got Sean O'Malley at number 2. Don't freak out. It makes sense when I explain it. I've got Davison Figueiredo at number 3. I've got Jose Aldo at number 4. And I've got Corey Sandhagen at number 5. Now, Umar, that's pretty self-explanatory. He's a very technically sound striker. Probably the second best grappling wrestling in the division outside of Merab, which makes a lot of people, including me, think that he's going to be able to out-scramble Merab early on and do enough on the feet to win this fight by decision. Maybe he manages to get a submission, but honestly, like Merab is very tough. He's very hard to finish, which makes me think that you have to be able to go 5 rounds, scrambling, striking. You have to be able to do both. And I think Umar is the best, and Umar's big enough too, because that's another thing, right? Like I've got Umar at number 1. I've got O'Malley at 2 because he's a very big bantamweight. And when he fought Merab, first and foremost, he fought like shit, bro. Like, come on. Like, I hate to be Dana White. The kid looked flat. I don't know what to tell you. What's the question? Why is O'Malley number 2? Listen, O'Malley looked bone dry against Merab. He did, bro. He dead ass did. I swear to God, O'Malley looked like something was wrong, bro. Because even in that fight, when he looked so bad, he was still able to defend takedowns from Merab pretty well over the course of the 5-round fight. His cardio held up a lot better than most people expected, including me, honestly. I thought if he didn't get him fit out of there in round 2, like, he would be struggling late in the fight. But he was still able to hurt Merab at times in the fight. I think that he has all the attributes necessary to beat Merab if he comes with the correct sort of like fighting style and correct approach and doesn't have Tim Welch in the corner. It's almost over, Shug. You're doing really good. Here, Shug, drink this THC. You're doing really good, Shug. If that shit gets cut out, I think O'Malley actually is a very hard matchup for Merab. Still. And he did better than Jan and like a lot of the other guys that Merab is for. I can't name any of the other ones, but bro, he fucking mogged everyone else in the division. In terms of his grappling, I would say that O'Malley is pretty underrated as well. I would say he is the second best chance. But at 3 and 4, you got to throw in Figueiredo because Figueiredo has very nasty submissions. He's very powerful on the feet. He's a little bit smaller, though, than Umar and O'Malley, which makes me think that Merab would be able to kind of bully him around. Same thing with Jose Aldo. Like, Jose Aldo did the best against Merab in terms of defending his grappling. Like, when I was talking about O'Malley, it was kind of like respawning in my mind that actually the person that did the best against Merab in terms of stopping his takedowns was Jose Aldo. That's why he's in my top 5, but he couldn't get his fucking hands going at all. Like, O'Malley was really stifled by Merab, but he was able to get some things going. Like, he was able to hurt Merab at some points in that fight. Jose Aldo literally couldn't do shit to him on the feet. Like, he just got held against the cage for like 13 minutes. Same thing happened to him against Mario Batista. So I think that Jose Aldo would defend all of Merab's takedowns again or make him go like 1 for 14 on takedowns. But I don't think this is a style that he can beat by KO or piece him up on the feet and do enough damage to get the nod from the judges. This would be another fight. It would just be longer. It'd be 25 minutes of us going, fuck's sake, this guy Merab, bro. You know what I mean? So I've got him here at number 4. I think Figueiredo's submission threat and power and grappling prowess makes him a little bit higher than Aldo, but even then, I don't think Figueiredo would be able to beat Merab because he's a little bit smaller at bantamweight. And at number 5, I just decided to throw in Corey Sandhagen because he did defend the grappling from Umar Nurmagomedov pretty well, but I know this dude, he would fucking go out there, he would defend the takedowns from Merab, he'd scramble with him well, and then he'd stand on the feet just switching stances, overthinking, bro. Swear to God, this guy would somehow get pieced up by fucking Merab, dude, because he'd just be overthinking. He'd be out there just switching stances, fucking feinting, moving, flicking the calf kick. I just don't think Corey Sandhagen would beat Merab, but I do think he would be hard for him to take down and control. So that's my top 5 nightmare matchups in the bantamweight division for Merab. Probably the best. Like, if Umar can't beat this guy and Merab actually mogs Umar, I don't think anyone else is beating Merab in the bantamweight division right now. That's just what I think, dude. I think that it's weird. Umar and Merab, they're like the nightmare matchups for each other. They're the two most dangerous bantamweights right now in terms of like how I think they match up with everyone else. So it was interesting to make a top 5, but yeah, really you're betting on 1 or 2 being able to beat Merab, honestly, if I'm being real here, bro. All right. Speaking of a champion that it was just comical to make nightmare matchups for, we've got the featherweight Ilio Opsorio. Bro, making nightmare matchups for this guy is like making nightmare matchups for fucking Godzilla, bro. Like, what am I supposed to do, bro? This is my top 5 nightmare matchups for Ilya. I've got Islam Makhachev at number 1, because I do think that he could beat Ilya, right? And even then, I would be nervous as fuck for Islam. I've got Movsar Evloev at number 2, right? Because I do think that his wrestling is the best in the featherweight division outside of Ilya. And even then, I think, honestly, Movsar is a better wrestler. Like, pure, straight-up wrestling, scrambling. He's the best wrestler in the featherweight division. He's got great cardio, underrated boxing. I do think that Movsar Evloev would be a really tough fight for Ilia Topuria compared to the other guys on this list. At 3, Lopez maybe flukes some shit, like throws up a sub and gets it. Cracks Ilya on the chin, just puts him out cold. Like, that's your kind of options with Lopez. And then at 4 and 5, like, I could literally put Lerone Murphy, bruv. I could put fucking Dan Ige on the top 4 and 5. They're not beating Ilya, but I think that Volk did pretty decently against Ilia Topuria in round 1. He just radiated this like chinny energy because he lost to Islam Makhachev and he did this quick turnaround and this bad weight cut. It's just a really bad circumstance for Volk. And I just don't think, I think it's too far gone, bro. Like, if Volk had just not fought Ilya in February and just waited, I think he would be a really hard matchup for Ilya because of his well-rounded skill set. He still managed to do well in the boxing and kicking with Ilya, but we just knew he was cooked in that fight. So, and I know now he's even more cooked against Ilya. I think he can beat everyone else at featherweight, especially the guys like 5 through 15. I think Volk still cooks them, but yeah, I just threw Volk in at 4 just to give Unk some credit, just to give Unk some respect. And at number 5, bedtime. Why do you have Arnold Allen at number 5? We could probably stuff some takedowns and land some good combos. Do all right. He's got a cool cat as well. I like Arnold Allen. Bro, I just fuck it, dude. Arnold Allen. Let's throw my boy Arnold Allen at number 5, dude. The only people that have a chance to beat Ilya, are Islam and Movsar Evloev. Bro, like I said for Marab, making the other 3 was like hilarious. I was like, fuck it, I'll just throw in Arnold Allen. But yeah, those are the 2 nightmare matchups for Ilya, in my opinion. Let's move on now and talk about Islam Makhachev. Oh man, it's really, I don't know about you guys, but the longer I do this Chael Sonnen bit, the harder it is to remember that his name is actually Islam Makhachev and the other guy's name is Arman Sarukian. Because, bro, for fucking weeks now, I've just been like, Islam Makhachev, I think he struggles with Arman Sarkarian, I really do. And I think there's something to that. Nightmare matchups, top 5, Ilya at number 1. I think that his power and his boxing and his technical abilities, he's got good jiu-jitsu as well. That was his base before he became a primary striker in the UFC. Arman Sarukian, I think he's going to be able to scramble really well with Islam. He's got very good boxing, underrated power, great ground and pound, great elbows. Like, bro, if he takes down Islam, which I believe he will because Thiago Moises took down Islam Makhachev not that long ago, I think that Arman is going to be able to cause a lot of damage with his elbows up close. And I think that he has more of a style to match up well against Islam than Charles Oliveira. That's why I feel like he struggled with Charles Oliveira in moments. But outside of the submission attempts, he's fucking taking down Charles Oliveira. He's outboxing him. He's landing his jab. He's landing axe kicks. He's brutalizing him with ground and pound. Like, he's landing elbows that are cutting Charles Oliveira and bouncing his head off the camp. Like, I think that Arman Sarukian is very underrated still. And I do believe he's like one of the hardest matchups Islam's going to face in the UFC. So I've got Ilya at 1. I've got Arman Sarkarian at 2. And at 3, I got to give Charles Oliveira some props because he is still extremely dangerous. I feel like he lost a little bit of aura when he lost to Islam. But realistically, he still has the threat of, if you shoot a takedown wrong, you're getting submitted. You know what I'm saying, dude? You slip on a kick, you're getting put in a guillotine attempt, right? He still has pretty decent power at 155. His chin has recovered a little bit. Like, we haven't seen him dropped or rocked really badly in a while, which is good. But I feel like in terms of his physicality, his ability to stop takedowns, his ability to move his head, I don't think he beats Islam Makhachev in a rematch. I think he does a little bit better than the first fight, but I don't think he wins a rematch against Islam Makhachev. I think he has a better chance of maybe winning a rematch against Arman Sarukian. Just because of the way that they match up stylistically. But yeah, I'm going to put Charles there to give him some respect. And at number 4, I'm going to put in Mateus the Gamer Gamrot because he beat Arman Sarkarian, dude. I mean, Gamer Gamrot, this guy literally 50-45 to Arman Sarukian. This guy 50-45 to RDA in a 3-round fight. I mean, this guy's doing things nobody has seen before in the lightweight division. Listen, I know Gamrot is a meme, but he's actually good. And I like Gamrot, and I'm sick of the disrespect to Gamrot. He's decently powerful on the feet when he feels like being a little bit fluky and dropping somebody, right? Drop Dan Hooker with a double punch, which is just fucking hilarious. Very high output, great scrambling, great takedowns, insane cardio for the division. He is a little bit chinny, but he's also good at recovering, which I feel like is a good skill to have, the way that he fights. He can just drop down, get on a leg straight away, take you down, waste time on the round. I don't think a Gamrot beats Islam Makhachev, but I do think they would have some cool scrambles. So I'm going to say Gamrot's at number 4. And at number 5, nobody talks about it, lads. Nobody talks about it. Listen, I'm not saying Paddy Pimblett beats Islam Makhachev. I'm just saying he smoked Bobby Green quicker than Islam did. So you tell me, kid. How many times has Islam Makhachev KO'd Luigi Venturini? 0, exactly. Paddy Pimblett KO'd him? Yeah, dude. I'm just saying, bro. The numbers don't lie. Men lie, women lie. Numbers don't lie. Paddy Pimblett is a nightmare matchup. No, listen, dude. I honestly, when I look at the top 5, I think Paddy Pimblett actually does better than most of these guys. Like, you're telling me Justin Gaethje and Michael Chandler are going to do better than Paddy Pimblett. I don't think so, bro. You're telling me Dan Hooker's winning a rematch with Islam Makhachev? I don't fucking think so, dude. I think that Paddy Pimblett is big enough for 155. Like, he's a huge 155er. Decent power. Crazy chin. You got to give him fucking credit for that. And he has really good grappling. Like, he really does have slick, high-level jiu-jitsu, pretty decent judo trips. He works well in the clinch. I think that Paddy Pimblett would actually do better against Islam than most of the other guys in the top 15. That is, I'm not even trolling, bro. I genuinely think he does better than most of these guys in the top 15. And he has plot armor. So I'm just saying, look into it, kid. All right. That's my lightweight picks. Let's move on now. Oh, man. Dude, this one hurt to make nightmare matchups for my boy Bilal Muhammad, because realistically, bro, nobody's beating me in the striking, in the grappling, and the wrestling. Bro, these guys suck. These guys are literally bombs. Making a top 5 nightmare matchups for Bilal Muhammad was so painful, dude, but I had to do it. I got Buckley. I got JDM, Jack Della Maddalena, badass welterweight. I got Shavkat Rakhmonov. He's all right, I guess. We got Ian Machado Gary, and I got Jeff Neal at number 5, dude. That's a pretty hardcore pick. Listen, Joaquin Buckley, I feel like he's not going to get a title shot before Shavkat and JDM, but he has the best chance at beating Bilal Muhammad right now. Like, gun to my head right now, if I was like, bro, who do I feel like if they fought today would beat Bilal Muhammad? I genuinely feel like Buckley would fucking make it happen, bro. He's explosive. He's hard to control. He's got good cardio, good power, good boxing, good head movement, like good wrestling. I think that Buckley would find a way to hurt Bilal Muhammad over 5 rounds and not concede bad positions for long periods of time. I actually think Buckley is like a nightmare matchup for Bilal Muhammad, even though I think he would lose to guys like JDM and Shavkat, and even Ian Gary, I think, would beat Buckley. I think straight up Buckley versus, what's the guy's name? Bilal Muhammad. Bro, I think Buckley wins that shit, dude. I actually think Buckley has the best chance of beating Bilal Muhammad out of the top 5. I also obviously have JDM here, you know, Jack Della Maddalena. This guy's one of the most badass fighters of all time. I think that his ability to get up and scramble his way back up into positions and threaten submissions to get his way out of positions, and just his takedown defense, his boxing, he would completely tag up and bully Bilal Muhammad in striking. He would make Bilal Muhammad look terrible in the boxing. I'm sorry, that's just, it is what it is. He would do that to pretty much everyone in the welterweight division. That's why they all just nut hug him, and the judges score it as control time. Like, oh my God, Gilbert Burns, comeback of the year. He's literally 1-1 with Gilbert Burns and piecing him up and arguably going to win the fight 2-1. They give it comeback of the year. It's fucking crazy, bro. So, according to the UFC and the judges, Bilal Muhammad would be up 4-0 on JDM and he'd get fluked. But I actually think JDM would be able to finish Bilal Muhammad, reverse a bad position, get on top. If Leon Edwards is reversing positions and hurting you with elbows, JDM is just reversing position and just pounding you out and finishing you, bro. Pause. I really believe that. Same with Shavkat Rakhmonov. I think that Shavkat Rakhmonov is not as good of a pure striker as JDM. I don't think he is as explosive as Joaquin Buckley. I think that Shavkat Rakhmonov works really well when he's going forward, but I think Bilal Muhammad would be able to push him back and really put him up against the fence, take him down, control him, really drag him into 5 rounds where we don't really know how his style actually works. And as soon as he gets in front of someone that's not a fucking midget, this guy turns into a clinch merchant. So I feel like Bilal Muhammad would actually be able to beat Shavkat Rakhmonov. And when they do fight, standing, Bilal, no, I'm just kidding. I was going to do the Jamal Hill monologue, but I do think Bilal Muhammad beat Shavkat Rakhmonov. That's why I'm putting him at number 3, even though he's still extremely dangerous. I really worry about the clinch exchanges between Bilal Muhammad and Shavkat Rakhmonov. I worry about the scrambles because Shavkat can just jump on submissions. Like, Shavkat's very fucking dangerous, but I do see a world where Bilal Muhammad is able to beat him. So I'm going to put him at 3, below JDM and Buckley, who I genuinely would probably pick to beat Bilal Muhammad if they fought. That's kind of how I'm ranking this based on the way they match up. I'll throw Ian Gary in here because he's pretty rangy. He's pretty skillful with his striking. He jumps on submissions, which is probably an effective way to grapple with Bilal Muhammad, who, if you try and just stop the takedowns, you're going down. Like, it's really hard to defend takedowns from Bilal Muhammad. And I think that Ian Gary would be able to jump on submissions and maybe threaten something like a guillotine or jump around to the back for a rear naked. He's long and rangy, so he'd just oblique kick Bilal Muhammad, jab him. But he goes back a lot. So I think that would kind of benefit Bilal Muhammad and make him be able to eventually wear down Ian Gary and win by decision. I put Jeff Neal at number 5 because it feels like he's washed. It feels like he's like an old head, but he's really not, dude. Like, he lost by split decision to Ian Gary. Okay. He lost to Shavkat Rakhmonov, pretty competitive fight. That was kind of a while ago now, though. And, like, we don't really know what he looks like now because he fought against RDA and, like, his legs gave out 2 seconds in. So I think that Jeff Neal still has very good takedown defense. Very hard to take down Jeff Neal. Pretty decent chin as well. Like, Shavkat Rakhmonov had to choke him out because he, like, hurt him, but Jeff Neal's still there, still swinging. Great power for the division. He, like, changed the course of Luque's career. I think that Jeff Neal is still a very hard matchup for Belal Muhammad. I'd probably lean Belal Muhammad now that he's improved his fight IQ and he's a lot smarter the way that he fights. But I still think it'd be a hard fight for Belal Muhammad. So I'm going to put Jeff Neal at number 5 as a nightmare matchup. Mate, I didn't say I was good. I didn't say these guys will beat Dricus du Plessis, mate. I just said they're nightmare matchups, okay? Totally different, mate, okay? Mate, I don't know where the confusion is. We're going to talk about Dricus du Plessis nightmare matchups. I'm going to say Khamzat Chimaev is number 1.
But I don't give a fuck about this, man. I just come here. You just have to give me the belt, man.
I'm going to put Sean Strickland at number 2. Here's the fucking thing, you guys. I'm a fucking nightmare matchup, you guys. All right, I know that's funny, but it is kind of true. I'm going to put Caio Borralho at number 3. I'm going to put Anthony Fluffy Hernandez, badass middleweight, at number 4. I'm going to put Nassourdine Imavov at number 5. Khamzat, I feel like that doesn't really need explaining. I believe he'll be able to take down Dricus and submit him. I'm picking Khamzat to beat Dricus when they fight. I just think that he is a level above in the grappling, and he's just a fiend. I'm trying not to glaze this fucking guy, but bro, he's literally so goated. It's insane. Like, every fight, it is so funny listening to people genuinely try to convince themselves that people will beat Khamzat Chimaev. Like, I hate to be that type of person, but it's like listening to people genuinely be, mate, Whittaker's gonna fucking TKO Chimaev. I'm like, bro, do you actually believe that, bro? This guy literally, doesn't matter if he looks like shit, if the takedown is shit, he just finds a way to take you down and control you. He is the best pure grappler in the UFC in terms of dominance, wrestling. Like, if he gets on a submission, you're fucked. I just think that Khamzat Chimaev is way too dangerous for everybody, including Dricus du Plessis. But Dricus is a hard matchup for Chimaev as well. Like, I would love to do this video again if Chimaev becomes champion, because I think that Dricus is a very hard matchup for him. But yeah, I'm going to say that Khamzat wins that one. I put Strickland at 2 because his style is very awkward. But Dricus kind of figured him out a little bit as the fight went on. At first, it was like, holy shit, Sean Strickland's finally making Dricus look as goofy as everyone thinks he is. Just piecing him up with the jab. He's always going to be a hard fight for Dricus because he's a technically sound boxer that is sneakily very hard to hit and can move his head out of the way of a blitz, right? But I think that Dricus kind of figured out some things that will make it easier to beat him in the second fight. I'm still going to put him at number 2 because he arguably won the first fight. Like, I thought Strickland won the first fight, so I'm going to give him some props. I'm going to put him at number 2. I've put Borralho at 3 because he has decent power. He's well-rounded. And what I like about Borralho is he's not one of these guys riding a streak of, like, straight finishes against old heads, bro. Like, Caio Borralho can finish you with the boxing. He can hurt you, can drop you badly. He can also, like, get submissions. He can control people. But there's fights where he just takes them down and blobs them. And I feel like that proves that he is a high IQ fighter that I feel like is well-rounded enough to be a pretty tough fight for Dricus du Plessis. I don't think he beats Dricus, but I think he's a pretty well-rounded, tough fighter that could do well against Dricus. I'm going to put Hernandez at 4 because of 2 things. Underrated striking. And his chin is pretty good. He gets hurt to the body a lot, but his chin is usually very, very good. And the thing that makes me think he would be a hard fight for Dricus is he doesn't get tired. Everyone else in the division, it's like, if this guy gets tired, they're fucked against Dricus. Anthony Hernandez will not get tired. He'll get better as the fight goes on. And he primarily operates against people that, when you get sloppy, bro, he's jumping on the neck. He's going to choke you out, right? If you get sloppy, you back up weird, he's going to take you down and control you and start to ground and pound you. I think Anthony Hernandez would be a really hard, tricky matchup for Dricus. I'm almost like feeling like I've just convinced myself he should be number 3, but fuck it, dude. Number 5, I've got Imavov. He's like a technically good striker, pretty good power, decent grappling defense. I wouldn't say the best. Like, I think Dricus would be able to grapple him, but Imavov is like a quick, sharp kind of striker, Dagestani base as well. So I think he'd be a hard fight for Dricus, but yeah. Best bets to beat Dricus, it's Khamzat. And honestly, low-key Anthony Hernandez, dude. I wish I put him top 3, but it is what it is, dude. Moving on now, we're going to talk about Alex Pereira and his nightmare matchups. And I feel like this is kind of cheating, but I don't give a fuck. I put Tom Aspinall at number 1. Because they do talk about this fight a lot. So I feel like it's fair to weigh in on it and just be real. Like, Alex Pereira, he's a great fighter. I'd love to fight him. But I'll fucking rugby tackle him from halfway across the cage. Tom Aspinall would fucking murk Alex Pereira, bro. I'm sorry, dude. Like, I hate, like, bro. There's genuinely people that don't agree with that, too. Like, the thing is, I feel like I'm telling people that Santa isn't fucking real, dude. But I feel like Tom Aspinall would genuinely mog Alex Pereira and just wrestle him and sub him in, like, 2 minutes, bro. I really do feel like I could see the frame of Tom Aspinall on the double leg against the fence, and Pereira's just, like, looking around or, like, trying to be calm, and then Aspinall just dumps him and gets into mount. I think he would beat Alex Pereira pretty clearly, pretty easily. Like at heavyweight too, I think it would just be not enough size could be put on for Pereira to prevent that. I just don't think he has the grappling to stop Tom Aspinall at all. As for number 2, I've got my boy Big Ank because he's a big southpaw. He's a very technically sound striker. Pretty decent power at light heavyweight. A lot of KOs on his record. And he has the wrestling threat as well. He's a very good wrestler. He's a very good grappler. Not much of a submission guy, more of a take you down and land ground and pound, which I do worry about against Alex Pereira if you think about the fight going long, because if you don't submit Pereira and you just ground and pound him and he survives and he's a UFC superstar, so the referee's going to let him go as long as they can. If he comes back in round 2 or round 3, that's another chance for him to KO you. So I'm going to say that Unk is the second biggest nightmare matchup for Pereira with his striking, with his power, with his wrestling threat, and the fact that he's a southpaw. I feel like he will beat Alex Pereira if they fight right now. But it's a competitive fight. As for 3, 4, and 5, these are jobbers that will be fed to Alex Pereira, but I could be convinced that it might be a tough fight for him. I got Rakic at 3. And listen, man, Alexander Rakic, bro, this guy's a killer, man. Listen, dude. Rakic is actually a hard matchup for Pereira. I feel like I'm a schizo saying shit like that when he lost to Ank and he lost to Yuri Prohaska, but Rakic is a very good kickboxer. He's a big light heavyweight as well. He's a big fucking tank at light heavyweight. And the thing that nobody talks about is the fact that Rakic is a decision fucking machine who loves to just wrestle you and blob you, bro. Ankalaev is going to be... I'm going to be worried for Ankalaev against Pereira if I'm his coaches, because I know that his instinct is not immediately to shoot a takedown. He will strike a little bit. Rakic, the second it goes bad against somebody that he knows he can't outstrike, he's just clinching you, holding you against the fence. He's shooting a takedown. I think Rakic, based on his ability to deal with leg kicks and dish out leg kicks, he's a little bit chinny though, but he's a good wrestler. So I feel like Rakic would be like a decently hard fight for Pereira, but Pereira would KO him eventually. I put Khalil at number 4, even though this guy's fucking celebrating the loss to Pereira like he won the world title. He is still like, he did good against Pereira, so I'll put him at 4. He'd probably land some cool little combos again. Probably lose again, post some weird shit on Snapchat. If you know, you know. And I'm going to put Oberg at 5 because he's big and he trains with Izzy. He's like decently okay at grappling. It's not the main thing that he does, but it's something he might try and use. I think he would get chinned by Pereira. I think he'd piece up Pereira early on and then get chinned later on in the fight. Something about Oberg, I'm just going to say this before I move on. He just strikes me as he doesn't have that dog in him, bro. Like that's just me. I feel like it would be very similar to the Khalil fight. I think Oberg would piece up Pereira early on. He'd be hella quick. Joe Rogan would be like, Carlos Oberg! Like, he'd just be glazing the whole fight. You know exactly what I'm talking about. And then later on in the fight, he would just slow down a little bit, be up against the fence, hands kind of low. Similar to what Nzechukwu did to him, but I feel like Pereira would be a lot more vicious, like a flying knee up the middle, or a fucking left hook, body shot, right hand up the middle. Like, that's what I'm thinking for Oberg. So I think Oberg would do okay, but I don't think 3, 4, or 5 will beat Pereira. I think 1 and 2 on this list, though, would beat Pereira if they fought. So those are my picks for the nightmare matchups for Pereira. And the last one to talk about, listen, kid, let me tell you about John Jones. Listen, kid. Bro, the only nightmare matchup for this fucking dude in the heavyweight division is Tom Aspinall. And I put Shamil the Blob Gaziev at number 5. Because he famously said, John Jones, my future victim. But realistically, it was so funny too, because I started typing out this list and I'm like, oh yeah, Tom Aspinall at number 1, Volkov at 2, maybe 3 Curtis Blades. Nobody else at heavyweight right now. Maybe Volkov could like craft it up a little bit, but even then I don't think he would. Maybe Curtis Blades would be a tough like round or two for John Jones, but I honestly think John Jones would find a way to figure that out because of his fight IQ, right? And that hurts me to say because I fuck with Curtis Blades. That's my boy. But realistically, the only actual nightmare matchup that can beat John Jones at heavyweight right now is Tom Aspinall. So hopefully we get that fight in 2025. I would say the exact same things for Tom Aspinall. If he was the champion right now, I would say it's John Jones, and then it's like Curtis Blades, Cyril Gane, maybe not even after that last fight, get Cyril Gane out of there. It's like John Jones, Curtis Blades, Jailton Almeida, Alexander Volkov. Like, yeah, like that. Those are the nightmare matchups for Tom Aspinall. But these are my picks for every champion's top 5 nightmare matchups. I know there's going to be a lot of things that people find very contentious in this video. I cannot wait to read some original comments talking about some shit like,
oh, Taco Tuco says the pick for light heavyweight is a bold choice. Bedtime, good pick.
Can we get some new fucking jokes in 2025? But listen, man, drop your opinions in the comments down below, please. Don't drop the dead jokes. And yeah, man, drop a like. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Bedtime MMA. Subscribe if you're not already. I'm going to keep the videos coming as often as I can. And yeah, man, I'll see you in the next video, boys. Goodbye.